Well, would you look at this? Chris Paul back in a Clippers uniform. We've got some breaking news. Chris Paul has signed with the Clippers. I know I'm not right on this right away. I was getting out of a meeting. Your boy does have a business to run, but anyway, this is really exciting stuff. It really is. Just as someone who grew up around the time of Lob City and things like that, this is just kind of a cool thing to see Chris Paul back on this team. Obviously, he's played for a couple different teams at this point. I mean, hell, I remember him being on like the Hornets back in the day. Obviously, the Clippers was a big part of his career. I remember him going to the Rockets, the Suns. Obviously, his most recent times and stuff, even the OKC years, he's bounced around, but he's back. This is a move that we expected, right? We kind of expected him to go back to like one of a couple teams, and it seemed like the Clippers were kind of the team. I know somebody had tweeted just a little bit before this news broke that said like, yeah, if Chris Paul doesn't end up on the Clippers, like the Clippers really did something wrong because that's where he's gonna go. And like 2 minutes later, they're like, yeah, he's going to the Clippers. And so this is really exciting to see just from a basketball like fan standpoint. But what does this mean in terms of actual like basketball? Let's open up the spreadsheet and look. I'm just opening up the tracker now because I'm trying to just kind of really move on this. So Chris Paul is on the roster now. Do we know how much he's actually like signing for with this? I don't actually know how much he's getting in this contract overall. I would have to imagine it's just like a minimum contract or whatever. So can we just take like the minimum salary amount for Chris Paul and kind of just pencil that in as of right now? Oh, this is 2022 through 2028. Okay, so it's going to be about this much here, right? Yeah, because 2025, 10 plus years, about 3.6 million. So we go over here, we add Chris Paul to the roster. Cool. I presume it's just going to be a 1 year. I know we've all kind of heard the rumors and Chris Paul even alluding to it that this probably will be his final year of basketball, which wouldn't really surprise me whatsoever, right? Dude's been playing for forever. This is a pretty damn good team that's going to make a finals push. I could totally see this is kind of where he is. In terms of like depth chart and things like this is what we were kind of projecting the team to look like. I mean, the Clippers have done a phenomenal job this offseason, right? And I know that the core is still built off of Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, and their health is always going to be the main question mark. But man, on paper, this team is loaded. I don't actually know where to put Chris Paul amongst all of this. Is Bradley Beal coming off the bench? Like, is that an assumption we want to make? I mean, Bradley Beal's a damn good basketball player. Like, so is Chris Paul. He's still valuable in a lot of senses. Maybe he still wants to start. I don't know. Maybe let's act under that assumption for a second, just in case, because like James Harden playing next to Chris Paul, we've seen it happen before. It's had some success, not always in the playoffs, but that's other things. So maybe let me just like kind of throw this together. You guys can do whatever you want with this depth chart. I mean, they're gonna figure out what they want to do by the end of it anyway, but let's say hypothetically it looks something like this. I don't think it has to be this way. I think you could very much go with the James Harden, Bradley Beal, whatever. This is a loaded ass basketball team, man. Absolutely loaded. Obviously, Chris Paul leadership and just this whole veteran team that they've thrown together is going to be extremely competitive. The Clippers were just the best team in the NBA kind of post All-Star break last year. They gave the Nuggets all they really could. The Nuggets gave all the Thunder they really could. So really, in theory, they're one of the top teams in the NBA just in general at this point. He's like Chris Paul is going to do a lot for them in terms of like leadership, playmaking, things like that. Obviously, offensively, his game is pretty much just distribute the basketball, get to some of those mid-range shots. If you leave him open for three, he's obviously going to be very good from there, but you can't expect too much else otherwise. But looking at this team where you have Zubats and Brook Lopez on the team, you got John Collins on the team now, who gives you a different type of defensive player than you had before in terms of kind of the bulkier forward that is able to step out and hit three-pointers and can be an athlete and rim run. He's probably going to be a really valuable asset to a Chris Paul and James Harden, right? You got Nick Batum coming off the bench. You've got Kawhi and Derek Jones Jr. James Harden's here with Bradley Beal, who like one of either Chris Paul or Bradley Beal is probably coming off the bench, and that's just insane in and of itself. You still got Bogdanovich on the team, right? Chris Dunn's here, who in theory could have won Defensive Player of the Year this year, just even looking at like the numbers. Some of Chris Dunn's numbers were just insane this last season. There's so much defense on this team. There's so many guys that can go get you a bucket, so many playmakers. This has to be the best roster on paper, right? It has to be. Again, injuries are going to be a concern. You have a lot of older basketball players on this team when looking at Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Bradley Beal, Chris Paul, right? Like there's just a lot of guys with some injury problems. I mean, Brook Lopez is an older guy, right? Nick Batum is an older guy. You still have one open roster spot left. You have one rookie. Some of these other guys on the team, like the Kobe Browns, Cam Christie's, not going to do much for you this year. I mean, even Yannick isn't going to be able to do much for you this year outside of maybe block some shots and catch some lobs and spare minutes if one of these two are down. But this Clippers team is really, really good. I'd like to see them get like a little bit more youth on the team, someone that can really go up and down the court. You just kind of need guys like that to get you easy buckets every once in a while. I'm not even sure like who else is really out there to get at this point. Let's just go back to Spot Track and take a quick look and be like, okay, where else could they really use somebody? Because I mean, they've got enough guys that can play the point guard spot, and Chris Paul, Chris Dunn. I mean, Beal can do it. James Harden, obviously, their Kawhi's going to have the ball a decent amount, so you don't really want another like ball dominant player. But just taking a look at like who's all available, it'd be nice to add like a younger person to this team. I don't know who it is. Like you could go get like an Amir Coffey again. He's not really the young player that you're looking for, but I mean, he was on the team a previous season. I think he'd probably like to have a larger role than what he had though. And it's tough to find somebody like this. Could you go get like a Lonnie Walker? He's maybe a little bit younger, can get up and down the court. You're probably fine at that position, though he could at least maybe play some forward if he needed to. He's a little bit small for it. I don't know, maybe a Brandon Boston or something like that. I don't know. I'd be curious to kind of hear your guys' thoughts on that overall. But I don't know. This is just kind of a feel-good story along with the like the Damian Lillard one of going back to the previous team is exciting. And like, man, Clippers, you just have a loaded roster. You have a really loaded roster. If everybody's healthy, there's no reason you shouldn't be in title contention this year. I mean, you've just got some of the more underrated and underappreciated players in the NBA kind of all on one team with a good coach, and presumably it seems like a pretty good organization. It seems like Steve's running the team pretty well at this point, and this team's just going to try to stay competitive every single year, which I love. We need more teams like that in the NBA. So shout out the Clippers. This is really, really exciting. I hope that this team can have a lot of success this year, because there's a lot of guys you'd like to see kind of win a championship on this group, whether it be Bradley Beal, whatever you say about James Harden. I mean, he was phenomenal in the NBA for so long and is still a very valuable player. It would be kind of cool to see him get a finals. Obviously, Chris Paul being the main one that you'd like to see it. Kawhi with a third team would be insane. I don't know. There's just a lot to really like on this team, so I'm really, really looking forward to it. This team does not need to practice much. It really doesn't. You do not need to have any practices with this team. Just roll this team out, and they should win basketball games. All these old legs and everything, but man, I don't know. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments below, and let's just enjoy the fact that CP3 is back in Lob City. I hope to see a lot of him to John Collins lobs, because I don't really know who else you're really throwing him to on this league or on this team besides Yannick. So maybe try to find another athlete somewhere. Maybe if Kenyon Martin Jr. gets bought out or something, you can kind of throw him on this team. I think that could be a good get. But otherwise, I appreciate it as always, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks so much. Bye.